Hello and welcome to Ula Tea Leaf Readings. My name is Lenor and tonight I'm going to be reading your tea leaves. This is a horoscope for Scorpio. If Scorpio is your solar, lunar, ascendant / rising sign, then this is a message for you. All right, let's get started. And so we have the High Priestess, always the most welcome energy. And we're just going to go ahead and take a look and see what these tea leaves have to say tonight. And so if you have not subscribed yet, please think about doing that. You can hit that little bell. It'll let you know when the next readings are coming out. Oh no, I forgot my stick. Where is it? I forgot it again. It rolled under the desk yesterday. Well, we're going to be using the finger today. You can't go digging under there yet. All right, so anyways, if you haven't subscribed, please think about doing that. It is free to subscribe. All right, let's see. So it looks like we have some Leo energy just right off the bat. We also have the little house. And you know, it's funny, immediately, right when I was getting started getting everything together to start this reading, right? I was thinking there's such a sense of wanting to go home. And I'm not really sure. We have to look before I see what that's about. But we have a lion right here. You can see the head here. You can see the body. Okay. Below we have the heart. And then right here we also have a person who is kind of, it almost seems like trying to, I almost get the impression, dominate. Ride upon the back of this lion, to master the lion, right? And to me, this really represents kind of the courage of the lion, the fierceness of the lion, a sense of maybe emotional volatility or lack thereof, where maybe not of the volatility, but of the emotions, right? Always putting forth this very kind of superficial, guarded kind of, I'll only go so far with you. I'm not going to let you in, right? Now, I don't think that there's any like forcefulness here where it's like, oh, you're gonna fall in love with me, or you're gonna open up to me, you're gonna tell me how you're feeling, you know. I don't think it's so much that as trying to find a way to communicate where you both can hear one another, okay? Figuring out how can I approach this situation with my heart open, and so that we can get past whatever anger maybe has arisen, frustration, miscommunications, kind of, going into moments of arguing and bickering and hopefully not to the level of resentment, but maybe, right? It could be. But I think that you want to avoid that, of course, right? Once we get into that realm of resenting one another, boy, is that hard to get it out of, right? It's hard to undo when you get into that level of things, okay? So I feel like there's a real sense of you wanting to work things out, wanting to be, close in a way that maybe you worry has been kind of lost in it all. And so I do. I feel there's been a real like a focus on how could I do this. Maybe I should read some books. Maybe I should get some tips on how do I approach somebody who is kind of they're stuck in a place where they don't want to understand what I'm trying to say. They're actively kind of got those earmuffs on, right? And I know as a Scorpio, it's not easy. It's not easy to let that go. You know, it's just like, hey, I want you to hear me. You know, as a Virgo, same thing. It annoys the heck out of my Cancer husband at times, right? At times where, you know, he likes to take time. He's all about that kind of patience. Let's, you know, work it out with himself and then we'll revisit it. And I want to do this now. I want to talk about this while, you know, while it's still fresh. I want to fix it. I don't want to go to bed angry. I don't want there to be any room for assumption. Let's figure it out immediately, you know, and that doesn't always work for everybody. So I do feel, you know, there's a sense of compromise that maybe needs to arise here. A sense of, yeah, we'll maybe touch on this a little bit, but if there needs to be some time, then yes, I'm going to honor that and hopefully not let it grow in my mind as something that it is not. Trying to limit the ruminating, right? That's where we really run into problems. When we sit and we think and we're not working anything out. No, we're digging deeper trenches. So we look for happy distractions. Maybe, right? Well, that's my first thing is, all right, let me do something else for a while. Let me do some chores or, you know, watch a movie or go for a walk or whatever it is. Now we have a person standing here. We have, it looks like a cat again. It looks like, I mean, it does. It feels like it's almost scratching. Look at that mouth. It looks like it's open, maybe a little bit feisty there. We also have a bird right up there. So I know everybody is in their right place, right? We're always in our right place. Everything is as it should be, if we understand that or not. So yeah, there's some turmoil. I don't know what's been going on, but it does seem like your maybe partner, maybe this is your child, maybe this is, you know, I don't know, a significant other, a roommate, a family member who is close, but they seem to be really kind of, I don't know if it's a sense of this is how they deal with their emotions. They just pick at you, you know, they kind of, here comes TT. She's saying hello from down the hallway. Pick at you or it just kind of the bickering. I feel like there's a sense of like there's a maybe gotten into a dynamic of the negative attention is almost more fulfilling than being on the same page, figuring it out, enjoying one another. Right? Just irritated for whatever reason. And I feel like now I'm understanding why is there this sense of wanting to just go home? Right? And to me, right here, we have the house. And it is. I think it is just kind of, I wish that things would just chill out. I just want things to be like they were before. Or maybe they've never been that way, but it's kind of like we were getting there and something has happened. You know, I want to get to that place where we can just coexist. where then we can kind of move into really building something so lovely together, right? But we got to get past all this. You can't force anybody, but I think some real lessons are being learned here because you care. So there's a sense of really not only trying to, and up here I'm talking about, trying to figure out how you can communicate with this person, how you can, and it is kind of sitting on the back of the lion, right? To be close, to be in a masterful posture within this relationship, but it's not mastering the person, it's mastering the way that you connect with them. Now, over here, I'm thinking, it's so much about mastery of self, and that's where that the High Priestess comes in, right? To move with intention, to use your intuition, to search out within yourself, what do I actually need versus what are my impulses? How do I catch myself before I, get in there and I see the thing, I'm going to win this back and forth. I'm going to say the thing that I know will really get them. I'm going to, I'm going to win this. I'm thinking of when I was in college, I had a class where they wanted us to read The Art of Rhetoric. And I read some of it, but my goodness, what a tedious text. And for somebody like myself, I have ADHD among other things. And it was hard for me to even get through the first, couple chapters. But, I kept thinking like, this will help me learn how to win arguments, right? Will that help me? So I do feel like there's a sense of vying for who's going to complete the argument, who wins, who, gets that score. Well, I think there's coming to this realization where it's like, I want to get back to this happy household, this happy life that I've been dreaming of, that I've been wanting for, but that's not going to happen if my goal is to win the conversations all the time, right? It's not going to happen if I am willing to kind of take things to the next level of arguing or getting personal and, maybe using that scorpion tail that you have. But, sometimes we have to go against our nature and not have the last word. Not be the one that kind of dominates the conversation. And I know it's difficult. I always think of myself as when I grew up, in the early 90s, late 80s, early 90s, into the, I was in high school in the late 90s. But just through that period of time, and I'm sure kids are similar now, as they were then, but we didn't have the internets like they do now, obviously. And so we had to kind of, we didn't go online behind a computer and talk, smack to each other is what we used to say. But we would stand around and we would, what you would say, cap on each other, and sometimes, well, I cried. I would cry when people were mean to me. But you learned how to have a sharp tongue, to be observant, to be able to, get one over on the person who is talking poorly to you. And that's just the way it was, right? And not saying it's right. I hate to think of even interacting with anybody like that now. But I was a kid. So, you know, and it is what it is. But you bring that kind of energy into a household, into a relationship, and it's like, oh, you know, it can only happen so much. Hopefully not at all, right? But it, you know, we're all human. We're all human. We have our moments. But if that's the kind of running energy, it's a difficult one to get out of. So I think that this is a time where, yeah, there's a lot of consciousness. Really kind of, I want to reevaluate how I'm talking to people, how I'm interacting with people. You know, immediately, as I turn this and I'm looking, it looks like the house again. It's just this feeling of let's go home. Let's you know, have a happy life together. How do we get there? You know what I mean? How do we get there? So now I see we have upside down here. It looks like we have a deer. Okay, I can see the little ears here. Now up here, it feels like we have that lion again. And the lion is just ever present. So we also have a key right here. And I feel like it's almost like looking in there's like the mirror, right? Looking in the waters, seeing the reflection. We have a deer, a most sacred deer. We also have the lion in this posture, the cat in this beautiful, standing tall, regal as heck, right? And then we have the deer who is kind of in a, you know, in this repose and kind of beautiful and taking a little rest on the lawn. That's what I imagine. And so, you know, I feel like there really is this kind of big aha moment of, yeah, I have to work on these kind of dualities within self. I can be the fierce and brave, you know, lion there. I can also be this kind of graceful, beautiful, thoughtful, you know, sacred deer. Okay, be in that Malkuthian kind of place of power. It's the lion is very much kind of a solar energy, where the deer, although they are not, you know, fully nocturnal or anything, but I do think of them as a creature that kind of moves in the shadow of things. They like to try to remain as unseen as possible. They move quietly and gracefully. They are often, yeah, moving in the evenings, in the night, and less seen during the day, right? So, you know, I think that this is kind of, yeah, it's a beautiful kind of balancing, focusing on instead of what can I do to impact this relationship through kind of, you know, tinkering with the dynamics, although the communication is important to work on. But I think that there's more of this idea of like, how can I readjust my own relationship with myself? What is it that drives me to continually kind of get into this place of reactiveness? Right? How did we get to this place where these are the kind of communications we're having with each other? The arguing, the raising of voices, blaming, you know, whatever. And listen, we all have these moments in our life where it happens. I'll tell you, you know, even, and I don't think my husband would mind me saying, because we're regular people. You know, you might experience this on here. We are loving and we you know, really embrace one another. We want to, you know, uplift one another. And that's true. That's 100% true. Now, Sometimes though, when, you know, the house is in chaos, my daughter's getting tired. She's, you know, talking back. She's having tantrums when, you know, she's a preschool age kid. She has tantrums. Maybe she's had a little bit of sugar, and that's, you know, that's the big thing in our house, is limiting very, very small amounts of sugar, if at all, because it just, we all are very affected by it. But, so, you know, and then me and him, we're trying to deal with it, you know, in a way that is, empathetic and compassionate and understanding. And that's not always easy, you know, when there's a kid here yelling at you and not listening, or not wanting to get on to the whatever we're doing and helping out and stuff. And yeah, we might find a place of irritation with one another, you know, and that can devolve pretty quickly, unless we really, you know, we grab ourselves and we think, okay, this is a moment. It's gonna pass. It will pass, right? Maybe you disengage, walk away, kind of get your composure. You know, me, I love a good primal scream. Go outside, you know, maybe scream a little bit, say a little curse, get it out of you know, whatever it is. Or, you know, I've also said I like to do chores. That's my place. Nobody will bother me. I'll go and start doing chores, and you know, and then I can kind of just let my mind wander. But whatever works for you, or whatever you're trying to figure out to work for you, I think this is the key here. Now, we also have, it looks like Leo. So Leo, I mean, it just really feels like this is, I know that there's a Leo in here somewhere, right? And down here, it looks like it says LOCO, loco. So we have that. Up here, it looks like it says the ONE. So we have 1. It looks like 1. But we also have repeating. This one's a 51. Right up there, we have 51. And we have repeating E's. So something about maybe an E name. It starts with an E. And now as I look at it this way, I see 2 people. Heads close. Look it, there's a lightning bolt right there. I feel like that it's just really, it is a flame. Such a connection between the 2 of you. I think that you continue to fight for one another. Not with each other, but for each other. You know, for this relationship. And I think, you know, at the end of the day, there's a closeness there. More so than most people in your life. This is one of your, I mean, it's like a soul contract, right? This is one of your people that you have probably always been tied to within your incarnate cycles, right? You travel beyond time and space, woven into each other. When you manifest as beings who are, you know, interacting in each other's existence. Okay. And that doesn't change, but I do feel like at times it can be difficult. You have very, strong personalities, a Leo and a Scorpio. I mean, forget about it, right? There is a electricity between the 2 of you. Now, it doesn't have to be romantic. Let me just say again, it's maybe not romantic. This could be your kid, but there's a love, there's a bond. It can be difficult though. It's difficult, but it's worth it. It seems like it is very much worth it. Now, look at this. We have the house. It looks like the house right here, but it also looks like flowers, right? And I imagine getting to that place of the sacred garden, of things growing, getting out of the zone of conflict, emerging back into this place where harmony is coming in to fashion, right? No more of that just back and forth and, just your mind aflame with anger or just feeling frustration, overstimulated. Just, coming back into this place where everything is kind of at ease. There's an enjoyment. I hear a laughing, a silliness, excitement, anticipation. And it feels like a beautiful, beautiful existence. Now we also have, it looks like a line of birds. It reminds me of migrating. Right? And that's what it is. I feel like there is this period of time where, it's like you're actively deciding together, we're going to make this work and we're going to get into this next chapter, holding hands, walking beside one another, choosing each other, actively choosing each other to be in each other's lives. And it's beautiful. And we also have an H. All right. So let's go ahead and take a look at our Wild Offering Oracle cards. All right, and I'm just going to go ahead. I'm going to flip on through. I'm going to stop where it feels right. It says feelings. Emotions want to be felt. You really can't surrender something until you deeply feel it. Allow me, dear divine, to offer all emotions to you, feeling them fully, so they no longer hold me captive. Yes. Feeling them fully so they no longer hold me captive. I always kind of have this feeling that when things are pretty terrible, right? They feel, especially with grief. Here's the thing with grief. It is like a tsunami. It comes, it just floods the beach, floods the land, and then it retreats, or, the tide pulls out, right? And it takes everything, or it throws all the things around, it rips them out of the ground. And you can fight that. Absolutely. You can do your dangest to not succumb to it. But, sometimes, and I really do believe this, having, gone through a variety of huge losses in my life, that sometimes you have to just lean into it. Sometimes it has to be, and this is with all emotions, even with anger. But we have to do it in a way that is safe, right? A way where we have kind of a support system. We check in. We don't get lost in it. Now we can succumb to it a little bit, right? We can lean into it, but we don't get lost in it. We don't lose ourselves in these rages or this grief or, the depression. And I think a lot of that can be helped by talking about what's going on, creating something with it, making sure that you're checking in with people. And I know that can be really difficult when you're in the thing, right? The last thing I want to do when I am just losing it, you know, is check in. But I always force myself to. I always do, because I know that especially in this period of my life, I've had to work a lot on anger. Because I've seen a lot of clarity about the things that have happened in my life. And yeah, it's hurtful and it is tough and there's a lot of anger. So I have to keep it in check even when I'm letting myself really feel it. So I agree with this. We have to feel the thing before we can let it go. But we don't let it take hold of the steering wheel, right? You don't let that, transient emotion. And that's what it is. These emotions, they come up and we observe them. We notice them. But we cannot make it part of who we are. We let it go. We release it. And that's so important to learn how to do. Why don't they teach that at school? Why don't they teach that to us at school? Dang it. All right. Okay, Scorpio, I'm going to go ahead and tell you I love you because I do. And I thank you so much for spending this time with me. It is always such an honor to be able to bring these messages to you. And if you would be so kind as to like the video, it really does help the channel. And if you have not subscribed yet, please think about doing that. You can hit that little bell. It'll let you know when the next readings are coming out. It is free to subscribe. And if you'd like to leave a comment, please do. I would love to hear from you. Absolutely. All right. Take care of yourself. I love you, and we'll talk in just a few days. Good night.